precincts are going to be. And so throwing a huge change in the mix is going to make it difficult for everyone, regardless of how you feel about mail ballots and whether or not we should have them, right? Big changes to the system slow things down. And as I said, I think there's a huge part of the Republican Party that actually likes mail-in ballots quite a lot. We write about this in Arizona all the time. Republicans there try to roll back mail balloting, and they're mostly elderly. Their elderly faction of supporters who's been voting by mail for a really long time and quite likes it always loses their minds. I think that we would see real pushback from Republican voters if that were to meaningfully change.
And as we look into next week, what is the likelihood that this is going to pass? A live look here at Capitol Hill. And what would come next if this does not?
I don't think it's going to pass. I've been wrong about things before, but I think that the chances of this getting through both the House and the Senate in the format that Trump wants or at all are next to the floor. And I think so what happens next is the Republicans are going to have to decide where to go from there. Trump has decided that he's not going to sign any legislation until this gets passed. I don't think this is going to get passed. So if he sticks to that, then we're in for a really rough year in Congress. So we'll see how serious he is about that.
All right, Jessica, anything else you'd like to add about this before I let you go? Anything I may have missed?
No, I think that it's really important for people to keep in mind that the best place to find information about what the rules are, if you're worried about this passing and you not noticing, the best place to figure that out is your county clerk's office. And so as you go to vote in the next couple of months, just make sure you check that and really pay close attention to all the requirements.
All right, Jessica Huseman with Vote Beat, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And we are going to step away for a commercial break at 9:37 on the East Coast, 6:37 on the West Coast. Stay with us here on Live Now from Fox. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christy Matino. We continue to follow the Trump administration as we heard a little bit earlier this morning from Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum and EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. As they are speaking in Japan, they participated in this roundtable discussion. Let's listen in.
Let's start with EP Administrator Zeldin. So, for those who know, the EPA's focus tends to be domestic. So there may be some in the audience who are wondering, what would the role of the EPA be in energy security here in the Indo-Pacific?
Well, this is a forum about strategic partnerships at such a key moment in time for the Indo-Pacific. And as you look to the United States under the leadership of President Trump, and you view an agency like EPA to try to assess what the next few years are going to look like, you can confidently see an agency that in the past had taken action to suffocate entire sectors of our economy, including our energy economy, trying to strangulate out of existence sources of baseload power, reliable, durable, affordable baseload power. President Trump gets elected, he comes in, and he has all agencies applying common sense, being pragmatic. An agency like EPA striking that balance to both protect the environment and grow the economy, to pursue permitting reform, to make it easier at less cost with more certainty to be able to invest in the United States, to be able to get your project from the beginning over the finish line. We will, at the EPA, finalize more deregulation in 1 year than entire federal governments in the past in the United States have done across entire presidencies, across all agencies. It's deregulation. It's deregulation that's heeding a demand domestically from Americans who care about being able to afford to heat their home, to be able to afford a new vehicle, to be able to power that vehicle and get to work and school. So as we gather here over this weekend and we talk about strategic partnerships for the Indo-Pacific, you know that under President Trump's leadership in the United States, that all agencies, including the Environmental Protection Agency, will be focused on top of our core missions, unleashing energy dominance, pursuing a key leadership role in artificial intelligence, which you heard Secretary Burgum touch on so eloquently this morning, working to make more vehicles affordable, to create more auto jobs. And we will never lose sight on our core mission, which is protecting human health and the environment and working towards clean air, land, and water for all Americans, fulfilling our statutory obligations, but doing so in a way that creates a climate that has never been better for these deals that will be announced, agreements between nations and public-private partnerships. While this is a first forum, and Jared, you and your team at the White House, your incredible leadership that we get to view every day when we're back home, to see it here in Tokyo on the world stage is just so exciting for the future. Instead of government going out of its way to stifle these opportunities, we are tearing through roadblocks at the national level to make anything possible.
That's excellent. Thanks so much, Administrator Zeldin. This is...
All right, so we did just play a quick snippet there of Lee Zeldin a bit earlier this morning. This is a pretty long discussion, so we're going to sneak in another commercial break, bringing the rest of this to you on the other side. Stay with us. And welcome back. We were listening into President Trump's cabinet members, Lee Zeldin and Doug Burgum, as they were speaking a bit earlier in Japan at this energy forum. Let's continue those comments here now.
Back home, to see it here in Tokyo on the world stage is just so exciting for the future. Instead of government going out of its way to stifle these opportunities, we are tearing through roadblocks at the national level to make anything possible.
That's excellent. Thanks so much, Administrator Zeldin. This is, I think, a very clear articulation of President Trump's vision for this unleashing and this idea that economic dominance is actually economic abundance, that this abundance has an opportunity for our partners in the Indo-Pacific, our allies all around the world, to tap into this, which creates this greater prosperity, not just for the United States, but for all of us. So I guess, Secretary Burgum, I would ask, and I think it's on the mind of many, oh, is it? Okay. I listen to my secretary. Yeah, so I guess thinking about President Trump's vision, he's made diversifying critical mineral supply chains an absolute priority for the United States. In our work here in the Indo-Pacific, we see it at our embassies around the world who are deepening our relationships to ensure that those supply chains are unfettered, certainly when our adversaries seek to do so. In your view as Executive Director, how important are critical minerals to energy security?
Very important, but you know, what the National Energy Dominance Council is all about is results. And when it comes to critical minerals, it's about getting results quickly at Trump speed. And so I'm sure everyone's here enjoying the lunch, and I'm sure the chicken is good, but the reason everyone is here is for the deals. And what we're doing is, at President Trump's directive, it's getting the folks in a room like this to come through with results and actual tangible deals that are actually going to close the gap when it comes to critical minerals, unleash energy. And so we've flipped the script, I think, under President Trump. No president has put energy at the forefront like this president has. I tend to call him the energy president because of what he has done when it comes to energy. Energy is national security, energy is foreign policy, and when you talk about critical minerals or supply chains, all of that is hugely important, and everyone sees it in the headlines every day right now. And so if you look at what President Trump has done, on critical minerals alone, just a couple weeks ago in the Oval, we talked about it with John Jovanovich here on the last panel, the biggest deal in Exim Bank history by double of Project Vault, just on critical minerals alone. He is unleashing the tools of government at rapid speed to catch up and to make sure that our supply chains are stronger than ever. So it's really all about results. Just this morning, the president used his authority to help unleash offshore drilling in California so that California, which gets most of its fuel sources, and the Secretary is better at talking about this than anybody, from foreign sources. Now the president is taking action on that. And so every day he's moving at Trump speed to fundamentally change how supply chain and how we look at energy all around the world. So it's really all about results. It's getting everybody in rooms like this, not just to have nice chicken lunches, but to really walk away with tangible deals and tangible results. And I think when you talk about critical minerals, I have never seen the urgency at the White House around critical minerals. Our team, we've got a couple experts on critical minerals. They're pulled into every meeting that needs to be at the table to talk about how important this is, to talk about how we move things as fast as possible. And so there has been an urgency on critical minerals from day one in the White House, and I think you're seeing the real results of that. The president is looking at things from a completely different perspective, equity deals, using all the levers of government, Exxon Bank, all of that now to close the gap. And then we had a massive critical minerals, Secretary Rubio had this massive critical minerals ministerial just a couple weeks ago, and the amount of countries that attended that signed up to partner with the U.S. that very day and are continuing to do it now is never been seen before. So the president is delivering real results on the board every day when it comes to critical minerals.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Now, this concept of Trump speed, I would assume that when you came into your position, you found a United States government that was perhaps stovepiped, perhaps the bureaucracy was maybe getting in the way of really allowing President Trump's vision to be executed at that Trump speed. How have you, in the Energy Dominance Council, been able to break down stovepipes, ensure the bureaucracy is not standing in the way? You talked about Secretary Rubio hosting that really fantastic critical minerals forum, but talk a little bit more about how representatives of government here can take that speed, that message, and apply maybe lessons that you've learned or executed in their own governments.
Yeah, well, it's really about we have a unique opportunity with President Trump in particular, but I'm sure there's a lot of leaders out there. I talked about on the last panel, President Trump is a man of action, and he's trying to do things that will change how we look at energy forever in this 4-year period. And I think any leader that sees the example that the President Trump is doing is going to want to get on board with that. And you've already seen that so far. I mean, the historic trade deals that came through last year and how we are executing on those deals has, again, never been seen before. And so if you just take a look at just certain things that President Trump has already done, we announced a refinery in Brownsville. It seems like a while ago, but it was just earlier this week. I mean, that's the first refinery that's going to be in the United States in 50 years in the Gulf of Mexico, or the Gulf of America, sorry. And that is done because of the historic trade deals, because of the relationship with India. And so now we're going to have the first refinery in the U.S. in 50 years because of the position the president took on the global stage. We talked about Sable offshore just happening this morning. That's now oil production and pipeline in California. Even before that, just a couple weeks ago, the president announced a historic deal with Japan on a offtake Sentinel Gulf Link, which is an offtake port off the coast of Texas, which is going to come over to Asia. And so these are 3 huge projects that have all come down over the last few weeks that fundamentally change how, it unlocks producing in the United States and then unlocks how we are going to export energy all across the world. And again, that not only is an energy issue, it's a national security issue and it's a trade issue.
So once again, listening into Trump cabinet members there as they're speaking at an energy forum in Japan. You were hearing from Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. You're watching live now from Fox. Welcome back. Before we head back to Trump administration officials speaking in Japan, we wanted to bring you this story here. U.S. troops overseas are being credited with saving a group of puppies from a dangerous situation, and now a nonprofit is working to bring those dogs safely to the United States. The organization Paws of War says several service members heard puppies crying near an oil pit used for vehicle maintenance and rushed to help. Two of the pups had fallen into the pit and were struggling to stay afloat. The troops were able to pull them out and move the entire litter along with their mother to safety. Being left behind in the Middle East, the group of dogs are likely to be severely injured or killed. So now Paws of War is trying to bring the dogs, called the oil pit puppies, back to the U.S., where the soldiers who rescued them hope to adopt them. But the rescue mission comes with significant costs and logistical hurdles, and the group is asking the public to help cover transportation and relocation expenses. The effort is part of Paws of War's War-Torn Pups and Cats program, which helps reunite service members with animals they rescue while deployed. To share more is Robert Misseri. He's the co-founder of Paws of War. Thank you so much for joining us here this morning. We appreciate it.
Christy, thank you for having me.
First, tell us about the oil pit pups. How did the soldiers discover them and realize they were in danger?
So these puppies were living outside with no mom, by themselves, outside of base, trying to find a little safe spot. And people kind of knew they existed. And then one day they heard frantic cries as several of them fell into this oil pit and they could not get out. It's very thick oil. And the other puppies were crying, and the soldiers ran over and got them out, and realized this was meant to be, that they certainly would never leave them behind. So they started cleaning them and doing whatever they can do, whatever they had to use to get them cleaned off. This was really thick oil. And now they're like family. And with everything going on overseas, everything is so sporadic and they're in danger, these puppies. We have to get them out of the country. And these soldiers and one veteran that's a contractor is also taking two of them, and we want to get them to America so we can reunite them when all of our soldiers safely return back to America.
Right, and we do know there are 5 puppies that have been rescued along with their mother, as we've been saying here, and there are those military heroes who are wanting to adopt them. So what does this process look like to bring these rescued animals from overseas back here to the United States?
So normally, under normal circumstances, it's always a very difficult process, but now even more so. We had flights, of course, canceled. We have airspace being closed. It's very complicated. It's become very, very costly. And we are asking for the public's help to help us finance these dogs, get them safe to America, and then we will reunite them when all those soldiers and that contractor comes back to America.
For those who may be unfamiliar with Paws of War, I would love it if you could just dive a little deeper into what you guys do, especially your War-Torn Pups and Cats program, which reunites service members with animals they rescued while deployed. Why is that mission just so important?
It's important because when you speak to somebody who served overseas and says, I had to leave an animal behind that I bonded with, knowing that he or she was going back to a horrific fate in countries where no one's kind to an animal, there's very little survival options, and they had to leave them behind. They kind of hate themselves for it. So these soldiers bond with these animals, whether it's a cat, a dog, a puppy, and to see that reunion when they're back here in the States and they are holding that little puppy or that kitten, and for us, all of us, they deserve it, right? They're sacrificing their lives for us. They sign up for this. Few people want to. This is the least we can do for them.
You're issuing this call for help, and obviously, as you said, what we're seeing in the Middle East right now, making this a bit more difficult to get these puppies back to the United States. What specifically do you need help with, and how can people help?
Right now, we have our teams on the ground still, and we just need financial help. This is a heavy lift because of the changes that happened, and where we normally would isolate a dog or keep a dog safe has changed. A lot of things have changed, so things got real expensive. So we're asking the public if they can join us in raising funds for this mission.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Robert, just about this, about the story, how the dogs are right now? Anything else that you want to touch on?
So the dogs are doing great, and I think we are so proud to be able to do this for our military members. You know, this is something that they don't expect when they arrive there, and they are keeping us safe. There's no question, and this is something we owe to them. There's no question that we owe this to them.
Robert, we appreciate you coming on here. Anything else you'd like to add before I let you go?
No, just if anybody wants to learn more about us, just visit our website at pauseofwar.org and our other programs and how we help our active military members.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Robert. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Christy, thank you.
And we do have a live event that we do see going on right now. Let's take you out to it. This is United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres holding a news conference in Beirut.
Israelis were sent to shelter. Hundreds of Lebanese have been killed, including many children, and many more have been wounded. And hundreds of thousands of civilians are fleeing with nothing but what they can carry. I was deeply saddened by the testimonies of the displaced people when I visited a shelter today. The south risks being turned into a wasteland. Southern Beirut, which is under sweeping evacuation orders by Israel, risks being bombed to oblivion. The Bekaa and Baalbek and other areas are scenes of destruction and panic. It is tragic to see all this happening in a country that has contributed so much to world civilization. The Lebanese people did not choose this war. They were dragged into it. And my message to the warring partners is clear. Stop the fighting. Stop the bombing. There is no military solution. Only diplomacy, dialogue, and full implementation of the UN Charter and Security Council resolutions. The diplomatic avenues are available, including through my Special Coordinator for Lebanon, Janine Hennis-Plasschaert, and through key member states. This is the best way to spare communities on both sides of the blue line more needless suffering. Just over a year ago, a cessation of hostilities between Lebanon and Israel was achieved. It did not resolve all outstanding issues, and it was not fully respected. While the parties reiterated their commitment to the full... Just over a year ago, a cessation of hostilities between Lebanon and Israel was achieved. It did not resolve all outstanding issues, and it was not fully respected. While the parties reiterated their commitment to the full implementation of Resolution 1701, violations persisted by both sides. Violence did not end, and the territorial integrity of Lebanon continued to be violated. There was more a lesser fire than a real ceasefire. But the November 2024 arrangement did bring significant relief and offered a renewed opportunity to advance political dialogue. Unfortunately, that opportunity was not fully seized. And we are doing everything we can now to bring about an immediate de-escalation and a cessation of hostilities. My Special Coordinator is engaging with all actors around the clock to bring the parties to the table. And UNIFIL peacekeepers, under the command of General Abanyara, remain in position. They are maintaining an impartial international peacekeeping presence along the blue line and throughout the areas of operation to fulfill the mandate entrusted to them by the Security Council and to support the local populations. I want to pay tribute to their courage. Last Friday, 3 blue helmets serving with the Ghanaian contingent were injured, one seriously. I visited him today at the hospital, amid intense exchanges of fire. I wish them a full and speedy recovery. Attacks against peacekeepers and positions are completely unacceptable and they must stop. They are in breach of international law and may constitute war crimes. Moreover, civilians must be respected and protected at all times, and civilian infrastructure must be spared. Lebanese sovereignty and territorial integrity must be respected, and the state must have full control over weapons throughout Lebanese territory. This is a central tenet of Resolution 1701 and a sine qua non to lasting security on both sides of the blue line. Last August, the government of Lebanon took a historic decision to establish state monopoly of arms throughout the country. We will continue to support the efforts to strengthen the Lebanese armed forces and other state security services. But the vision of Resolution 1701 cannot be brought to life by the army alone. It requires a whole-of-government effort to address the entrenched reality of non-state arms and to heal long-standing grievances and divisions. And it must include every community in Lebanon, Christian, Druze, Shiite, Sunni, and others. It is imperative that Hezbollah respects the government's decision to assert the state monopoly of arms, as well as all relevant Security Council resolutions, including 1701, and it is imperative that Israel respects the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Lebanon. The war must stop. Finally, my message to the international community is simply: step up your engagement. Empower the Lebanese state and support the Lebanese armed forces to secure the capabilities and resources they need. Respond generously to the humanitarian appeal launched yesterday to provide the government of Lebanon with the resources needed to intensify its support to the populations affected. The people of Lebanon, as well as Israel and all other peoples throughout the region, deserve to live without fear, to raise their children without the sound of sirens and strikes, to return home without wondering what they have to flee again. Our team on the ground is working to do everything they can to support the Lebanese people and the institutions. And I'm deeply grateful to all UN colleagues for their commitment and dedication. Together we will spare no efforts in striving for the peaceful future that Lebanon and this region so richly deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General. We'll open the floor for questions. We have interpretation, Arabic, English. So somebody will come with a microphone, but please state your name and affiliation and speak clearly and slowly for the interpreters. Where's the mic? Please go ahead.
English is what channel?
English and Arabic, what channel?
It works in English.
I'll ask in English. Already.
Sorry?
It's in English.
It's set up. You don't have
No, mine was not set up.
Apologies, 1 second. The question will be asked in English, right?
Yes, in English.
Please go ahead.
Number one.
He'll ask in English.
I'll ask in English. Good afternoon. This is Joe Farshakh reporting for LBCI Lebanon. Mr. Secretary General, many people argue that the international legal order has collapsed. Wars are waged, civilians are killed, children are amongst the fatalities, and humanitarian workers are also targeted, with no accountability whatsoever, and major powers ignoring the set of rules that they themselves wrote. In this new world order where the rule of the strongest, la raison du plus fort, prevails, what relevance does the United Nations still have? Thank you.
An essential relevance. It's exactly because we see powers undermining international law. It's exactly because we see those that try to put the law of the force above the force of law. It's exactly because some of the biggest powers are the ones more engaged in violations of international law that the overwhelming majority of the world population and the overwhelming majority of the countries of the world that want to be respected in their sovereignty, that want their populations to be protected, that want to have a voice at the table, it is why they need the United Nations more than ever. But we need a United Nations totally committed to fight for the values of the Charter, for international law, and I can guarantee that I'll do everything in my power to maintain from the Secretariat of the United Nations a clear position without double standards in favor of international law, in favor of the Charter, and in favor of more justice and equality in today's world.
Thank you. The gentleman here in the back, wearing blue. Mike.
Secretary General Bernard Smith from Al Jazeera English. You touched on this in your opening statement, but Israel's evacuation orders now cover some 14% of Lebanese territory, including whole suburbs of Beirut, as well as southern Lebanon, as well as parts of the Bekaa. Are these sort of forced displacement orders consistent with international humanitarian law, and have you communicated any red lines to the Israelis?
Well, as a matter of fact, evacuation orders in a situation where so many vulnerable population exist in the areas that are asked to be evacuated does not create enough security for civilians. And whatever does not create enough security for civilians inevitably becomes in violation of international humanitarian law. The protection of civilians is the maximum responsibility of any country at war. And it applies in Lebanon today as it applies everywhere in the world.
And that's UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres taking questions amid the Iran war as you're taking a live look there in Lebanon. He's holding this press conference in Beirut. We are going to step away for a commercial break. We'll head back out to that live next. watching Live Now from Fox. Welcome back. We're going to take you back out live right now to Beirut as we're listening in to UN Secretary General Guterres taking questions from reporters.
Overlooked. Are there specific diplomatic steps under review?
Sorry, I have a problem with the...
You speak slowly and clearly.
I apologize.
Speaking a little bit more slowly, but...
I was saying that the Lebanese government appears to be drawing twin disregard from both Israel and Hezbollah, and as Resolution 1701 is being de facto overlooked, are there specific diplomatic steps under review that can prevent further multilateral escalation and strengthen Lebanese sovereignty as expressed by its current and any future government?
Well, that's exactly... Oh, you go
And a
on.
follow-up. How can the UN further support the Lebanese state in extending its authority over belligerents while navigating